भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणीम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्र रुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः। So today we will be taking the 16th chapter, the summary of it, with very few verses which we are going to discuss for summary. The 16th chapter is called as Daiva Asura Sampat Vibhaga. Daiva Asura Sampat Vibhaga. What is the meaning of this? Daivi Sampatti. Daivi Sampatti means what? All the good values that we imbibe. They are called as the Daivi Sampatti. Sampatti means what? Sampatti is our treasure, our wealth. So Bhagavan says good values, okay? Good gunas, sagunas are values to us. They are our good values. And they are what? They are basically our wealth. Why is it called Daivi Sampatti? When you acquire these good qualities, we discussed in 13th chapter what are the good qualities, what are the good values that we have to imbibe, for what purpose. I gave you the example also of a field, isn't it? We have to make our mind mature. So it is like adding a fertilizer to an already prepared ground for the seed of knowledge to grow. So what should we do? We should all try to acquire all the sadgunas, all the good qualities, all the good values. And these good qualities and values are what? These are the good qualities which are shown by a wise man or a sthita prajna. Therefore, we have to acquire these good qualities. These good qualities, these good values, Bhagwan Krishna calls it as Daivi Sampatti. Daivi means what? Divine. These are all the divine values which make us to understand the divine nature or the actual nature of Bhagwan. And whatever Bhagwan Krishna is talking to us, these values, if we imbibe, they will help us in understanding whatever Lord Krishna is teaching in Bhagavad Gita. And what did I tell you last time? These values are not one single value. They are all in groups. So we gave the example of what? A magnet and iron filings. Then we gave an example of eating noodles, where you cannot pick up one value. When you start practicing one value, many other values come along with this. So this Daivi Sampatti or these divine qualities or these good qualities and values which we imbibe are going to help us in understanding whatever Bhagwan Krishna is teaching. All the scriptural knowledge that is being taught in Bhagavad Gita by God, by Bhagwan Krishna, we will be able to understand it and assimilate it if our minds are with all these good qualities. Then what is Asuri Sampatti? Asuri Sampatti means it is not actually a Sampatti. Sampatti means what? Wealth. Asuri Sampatti is not the wealth. Asuri Sampatti is a curse. By having Asuri Sampatti, what is Asuri Sampatti? Like what the Rakshasi Sampatti also it is called as. That means what? all the qualities of bad people, qualities of Rakshasas, qualities of Asuras, such qualities, if they are there in us, they act as blocks. They block our learning. What happens by that Asuri Sampatti or by that Asuri values? That means bad values. The values which actually put us down. We are no longer human beings. What do the Daivi Sampatti do? They raise us, the human beings, to higher levels to understand what Bhagwan is saying. But if we have the opposite gunas, if we have the opposite values to the Devi Sampatti, they are the values that all the Rakshasas and Asuras follow. And when such qualities are there in our mind, what happens? We go down, we slide down, we are no longer human beings. We become worse than animals or asuras. And if our minds are full of this asuri buddhi or these kind of negative values, then our mind, our buddhi is incapable of understanding and absorbing this knowledge. What is this knowledge? This is a scriptural knowledge. This is the most sacred knowledge. What Bhagwan Krishna is talking in Bhagavad Gita is the most sacred knowledge. Pavitram idam, he said. This is a pavitra, sacred, pure knowledge. And what can it give me? This knowledge can give me freedom from my fear, confusion, and sorrow. This knowledge can give me moksha. And what is moksha? Freedom from fear, sorrow, and also confusion. And to have this knowledge, what should our minds have? Our minds should be fortified. They should be strengthened by Daivi Sampatti, by good values, by the right values. And what did Bhagwan talk about these Daivi Sampatti in the 13th chapter? He called it as Jnanam. And he gave a set of values that we have to imbibe. A set of about 20 values which we already saw. Isn't it? Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Kshantirarjavam, Acharyopasanam, Shaucham, Sthiryam, Atma Vinigraha, Vairagyam, Putradareshu. Like that it goes on. I am simply enumerating about 11. Why? They are the most important values, and I discussed in detail with you what those values are. Now the 16th chapter is going to give again a repetition of these good values called as Daivi Sampat in the first word, second verse, and the third verse. In the first verse of the 16th chapter, second verse of the 16th chapter, third verse of the 16th chapter, what is Bhagwan Krishna doing? He is enumerating or revising all those qualities or values that were described in the 13th chapter in the form of Amanitvam Adamvitvadi. From the 7th verse to the 9th verse of the 7th chapter, a series of 20 to 21 values were given. They are called as Daivi Sampatti. They are called as the good values, which are divine values, which make our mind also sensitive and divine to understand what Bhagwan is saying. So, here in this 16th chapter, which talks about both Daivi Sampatti and Asuri Gunas, Daivi Gunas as well as Asuri Gunas. So, in the first verse, you note down. In the second verse, you note down. In the third verse, you note down. These three verses are revising what Bhagwan Krishna talked about, the good values that one has to imbibe in the 13th chapter. So what does he talk about here? He talks about the same values. So what he says is Abhayam, fearlessness. When you trust in God, when you offer all your actions to God, when you love God, when you worship God, Understand the presence of God everywhere. What is there? Fearlessness. You don't fear. You know that Bhagwan, God is always by your side and protects you. So there is always a sense of abhayam. That means what? Fearlessness. And sattva samshuddhi, he says in the first verse. What is the meaning of sattva samshuddhi? A clear mind, a mind which is made pure by karma yoga. Chitta Shuddhi we talked about, which is the result of karma yoga, correct, Vishwas? So this is what? This is the clear mind, a purified mind. That is also Daivi Sampatti. Then he said, Danam. We also talked about it. What is Danam? The capacity to share what I have. I have something more than what I need. What do you do? What do I do? I share whatever I have, whatever more I have, I share it with people who do not have it. That is also a Daivi Sampatti. It is a good quality. It is sharing. We saw that where? In the third chapter, we saw that, correct? Yajna, way of life. Sharing whatever I have with others. Living in harmony with others. Giving when I have more than what I need. Danam. Then he's saying here, Damascha. Dama means what? A control or management of my sense organs. And then Yajnascha. What is Yajna? Yajna, way of life. I told you, Pancha Maha Yajnas. Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Brahma Yajna, Manushya Yajna, Bhuta Yajna. Remember, children, Yajna, way of life. In the third chapter, we all talked of Pancha Mahayajnas. So, inculcating this habit of sharing with others, living in harmony with the nature and the world around us, that is also considered to be a good quality that one has to acquire. In the second verse, Bhagwan again is revising what he told in the seventh chapter, and he brings out what? Ahimsa, not hurting others, not hurting any living being or even non-living being around you. Unnecessary cutting trees, unnecessarily destroying plants, unnecessarily hurting animals. So there should be a sense of ahimsa. Means what? I will not hurt anybody either by my speech or by my actions, even by my thought. I will not think bad of anybody in my thought also. I will not hurt anybody by my words also, by my actions also. And he says, Satyam. Satyam means what? Speaking the truth. Okay, that is why it is said Ahimsa and Satyam. In the 17th chapter, we'll see what is the meaning of speaking the truth, in what situations and how do we speak the truth. That will be given in the 17th chapter, which we see on Thursday. But here, what is said here, Satyam means as far as possible. Let us not bluff. Sometimes we simply bluff. Have you observed that, children? Sometimes it is not necessary to tell lies, but simply we bluff. Simply we say lies. It is not necessary. Bhagwan says one must always try to speak the truth. And then next he says akrodhaha, anger. One has to be very careful about anger. Once you don't have control over your anger, then what happens? Anger will start manifesting in the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay? Anger to some extent is necessary. But what is this anger that he's talking about? Not being angry. One should not get angry unnecessarily in unnecessary places, and it should not be a disproportionate anger. Supposing my friend takes my book and keeps it somewhere and forgets it. I don't find my book, and ultimately I find that my friend has kept it somewhere. I start shouting at him, screaming at him for half an hour. This is not appropriate anger. Okay? You express, hey, why did you do like that? See, I struggled so much to find it. Enough. Express whatever anger you have briefly shortly, and it should be appropriate to the situation. It should not be out of proportion. Okay, this is what is called as akrodha. And what does he say? Shantihi. Shanti means what? Capacity to be happy with whatever is. And one word he uses in the in the second verse. In the second verse, the last word, apaishunam. Apaishunam, that is a value. What is paishunam? Gossiping about others, talking behind the back of others. That is called as paishunam. We all like it, isn't it? All of us want to gossip about others, talk ill of others. So he says a good quality is to not to talk bad of others, either in front of them or behind them. When you talk behind them, criticize them, they are not there to protect themselves. Correct? Even in front of them, we have no right to talk about other people. Paishunam means this bad, attitude of discussing, laughing about others, gossiping about others. So one should not gossip about others. And one should have what? Daya bhuteshu. Daya means what? Compassion. I should have compassion and love for all the other living beings. Why? It is the same Atma. The same Atma I is there in all the living beings. If I am hurt by something, the other living beings are also hurt by the same thing. Any action which hurts me, I should not use the same action towards others, that is ahimsa. And what is the meaning of daya? Compassion, empathy. When somebody else is suffering, you feel bad about it. You feel very, very sad about somebody's suffering. You want to help them to whatever extent you have. This is what is called as daya. This is what is called as compassion. And then in the third verse, again he talks about some of the Daivi Sampattis. What does he say? He repeats again whatever he has told in the 7th chapter. He says, Kshama. What is Kshama? The capacity to accommodate other people, forgive them for their shortcomings. Kshama does not mean only forgiveness. It is forgiveness, but then I accommodate. If somebody is not good to me, if somebody is criticizing me, I accommodate it. It's all right. It's all right if you say like this. I accept. I forget. I forgive. Kshama. Then he says, Dhritihi. What is Dhritihi? What was told as Thairyam in the 13th chapter. The capacity to be committed to what I am doing. The capacity to commit myself to Ishvara. Be Ishvara Bhakta. My commitment to learning this knowledge from Bhagwan, from my gurus, to learn whatever scriptures are talking about. This is called as Dhritihi. And Shaucham, we saw that in the 13th chapter. What is Shaucham? Shaucham means being, cleaning, the outer environment and my body and mind, keeping them clean. Like we keep on removing the weeds, no? When we want to garden, like that, we have to keep on removing all the unwanted things. And then he says, all these things are called as Daivi Sampat, or these are called as the divine values. And then how does these divine values help us? It makes these divine values make our mind more mature. Our minds are capable of understanding what Bhagwan is talking about in Bhagavad Gita. Now, opposite to this Daivi Sampatti is what is called as the Rakshasi Gunas or Asuri Gunas. They cannot be called as Sampatti, though the chapter is says Daiva Suri Sampatti Yoga. But then here, Asuri Sampatti means accumulating or acquiring These Rakshasi gunas, the negative gunas, they no longer are our treasure. They no longer are our resources. What are they? They only put me down. They only bring me down. My mind is completely kalushita, or it is spoilt by these asuri gunas. So the asuri values are who? Remember Hiranyakashipu, Prahlada's father, Ravana, Kumbhakarna, all these in mythologies and stories we have heard of so many Rakshasas. What are they? They are basically people who have lot of krura. They don't have compassion. They are always troubling people. They are violent with people. They are killing people for simply just because they don't follow them. They trouble their people around them. Okay, and what else do? They have no compassion for them. They have no control over their sense organs and mind. They will do whatever is necessary to give them happiness. They may steal from others if they want something. They won't ask you. They will simply steal from you. So all these things, where you don't have any concern, you don't have any kind of compassion, you don't see another person as yourself, but you become very, very selfish, and you want to use other people, harm other people by some of the negative gunas, negative values. This is called as Asuri or Rakshasi gunas. And some of them Bhagwan is going to enumerate in the fourth shloka of the 16th chapter. And what are they? They are exactly opposite to the Daivi Sampatti. What does he say here? He says the first thing is Dambha. We saw that in the 13th chapter. Amanitvam Adambhitvam. What is Dambha? Showing off. Showing off. I have something very small, I show off. Look, I have this. You don't have this. Trying to show off in my speech, in my body language, the way I walk, the way I look at others, the way I address others, the way I speak to others, the way I think about others. How do I think? I am great. Everybody is useless. This kind of a thought where you show off what you don't even have. There's nothing to show off, but still these people want to show off. And this kind of a showing off is what is called as Dambha. Dambha means what? Simply you show off whatever little you have. It is not worth it at all. Whereas Devi Sampatti is what? Whatever you have, you don't show off. You are grateful to God that you have that particular thing which is a gift of Bhagwan. Here, what do they think? I have this. This is mine. There is so much of ahankara and they want to show off. This is called as Dambha. Dambha is a Rakshasi guna. Darpa. What is the meaning of Darpa? Darpa means what? Darpa means actually pride because of whatever I'm having. Oh, I'm having so much money. I'm having so much of power. Okay, I can do anything I want. I can buy whatever I want. This is what is called as Darpa. Darpa means what? This pride, conceitedness, pride. Pride is also not the quality which will improve our mind. Pride is a asuri guna. It is a negative value. It should not be there in our mind. Showing off, pride for whatever we do, whatever we have, that is what is called as darpaha. Atimanaha, manitvam, what we saw that day in the 13th chapter. Okay, all these are the qualities that should be imbibed by all of you people. You should see what is the quality that I have. If it is a Daivi Sampat, you have to strengthen it. If it is an Asuri Guna, you have to learn to get rid of it. This is a very serious matter. Okay, so you have to understand what is Daivi Sampatti and what is Asuri Guna. So Dambha, showing off, is an Asuri Guna. Darpa, pride, is an Asuri Guna. Atimanaha. Atimanaha means what? I know everything. People have to do puja to me. People have to recognize me. People have to give me a place of importance. People have to wish me. They have to fall at my feet because I am a very, very great person. That is what is called as manitvam. So that is also an asuri guna. Then he says krodhaha, anger. Anger by itself is not wrong, but as I told you, how do you use this anger? If this anger is to make other people fearful of you, if your anger is to manipulate other people, if your anger is to hurt other people, then such an anger becomes a asuri guna. It becomes a rakshasi guna. Therefore, krodha, anger, should be a controlled anger. Anger should be there wherever there is a need to show anger. It should be appropriate. It should be in time. I should not be angry with somebody for what something happened 10 years ago. Somebody said something to me, and after 10 years I meet that person, I'm still angry with that person. This is not the right anger. Okay, so krodha here. Krodha means inappropriate anger is a asuri guna, asuri value. One should not have it. This is only Bhagwan is telling all these things only for us to see whether we have any of them. We have to judge ourselves. Do I get unnecessarily angry with people? Do I get inappropriately angry with people? Am I very, very proud and showing off all the time? Do I think that I'm a person who knows everything? Atimani. I'm an expert. I know everything. I'm a sarvadnya. Everybody should come and do namaskara to me. Do I have any such qualities? Once in a way, we should look at ourselves and see whether we have any of these asuri or rakshasi guna. And if we have it, then we have to learn to weed it off like weeds we remove in the field. So we have to be careful. Why Bhagwan is enumerating Daivi Sampatti and Asuri Gunas so that we can judge in our own minds. Do we have any Daivi Sampatti? In that case, I should strengthen it. That Daivi Sampatti should be strengthened. Do I have any Asuri Guna or value? Then I should learn to get rid of it and I should learn to dilute it. Therefore, I should know what is Daivi Guna, what is Rakshasi or Asuri Guna. So here Bhagwan is enumerating the Daivi Gunas and the Asuri Gunas so that we can ourselves see. We don't have to find it in other people. We don't have to all the time look and say, look, this Jankar has lot of money from. Look, this Rajadatta has lot of darpa. We should not judge others. It is meant for us to know what we have, what we don't have. Understand, children? Knowing this Daivi Guna and Asuri Guna is not to judge other people, not to find fault with other people. It is for us to understand ourselves. How much of my mind has Daivi Gunas? How many Asuri Rakshasi Gunas I have? How can I improve and increase my Daivi Gunas? How I can reduce and dilute my Asuri Gunas so that my mind becomes a mature mind to understand what Bhagwan is talking about in Bhagavad Gita. Are you understanding the reason why this chapter is there, children? You're understanding, no? Why Bhagwan is taking one full chapter on Daivi Sampatti and Asuri Gunas for this particular sake only. It is for us to benchmark ourselves. Okay? Once in a way, we should just look at ourselves and see. Krishna has told so many Daivi Sampattis. Do I have any of them? Should I imbibe some more of them? It will help me. Whatever Asuri gunas which Lord Krishna talked about, do I have any of them? How should I get rid of them? What should I do about it? So it gives us an opportunity to look into our own mind. So he said, Damba, Darpa, Atimana, Krodha, Parushyam. What is Parushyam? Making fun of others, making fun of other people's deficiencies. Okay, supposing a person is there who cannot see clearly, we make fun of his incapability to see. A person is little bit manda, a little bit retarded, but we make fun of him and call him, oh, intelligent, the intelligent person has come. Okay, so making fun of the deficiencies of other people, laughing at other people's weaknesses, this is called as parushyam. One should never do that. One should have compassion. God has given us good eyes, good ears, intellect which is intelligent enough to understand. But all are not so lucky, children. Some people may be handicapped. Some people may be physically handicapped. Some people may be mentally handicapped. Some people may be having squint. Some people may not be able to see properly. But all these, we should not make fun of their weaknesses. If we make fun of them and laugh at other people's weaknesses, it is called as parushyam. It is a asuri guna. Then ajnanam. What is ajnanam? Ajnanam means I do not want to know the truth. I am happy without knowing the truth. Doesn't matter if I don't know. Why should I know something? Why should I know what Bhagwan is talking in Bhagavad Gita? Why should I know what is Bhagavad Gita? Why should I know what are scriptures? I am happy with my ignorance. I don't need to know anything. Ajnanam. That is also a Asuri or Rakshasi guna. Then he says, these are called as the Asuri Sampat. Okay, and he says, what is the effect now? In the fifth verse, Bhagwan says, what is the effect of Daivi Sampatti and Asuri Sampatti on a human being? Remember one thing, children. It is not possible for us to have all positive gunas and no negative gunas. It's not possible. Our mind is a mixture of good and bad. Our mind, everyone's mind is a mixture of Daivi Sampatti and Asuri Sampatti. It is not possible for us to completely remove the Asuri Sampatti. It is not possible for us to have a mind which is only Daivi Sampatti. But what should be our effort? To increase the Daivi Sampatti and reduce the Asuri Sampatti. Okay, so in the fifth verse, Bhagwan says, Daivi Sampatti is meant for moksha. Daivi Sampatti is the strength of your mind which helps you in absorbing the scriptural teaching which is given by Lord Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. Whereas the Asuri Sampatti or the Rakshasi Gunas, what are they? Dambha, Darpa, Atimana, Krodha, Parushya. Okay, all these things, Ajnanam, Krodha, all these things, what do? They do not help me in learning. They only make me go towards hell, he says later. Therefore, he says, may you know, Arjuna, that for a human being, it is very important to strengthen the Daivi Sampattis and reduce the Asuri Gunas or Asuri Sampatti. Now, straight away, we go to the 21st verse in this chapter. After having described what is Daivi Sampatti or Daivi Gunas, what is Asuri Sampatti or Asuri Gunas or negative Gunas, what does Bhagwan say? He says, out of the Asuri gunas also, he says, 3 of them are extremely dangerous. Out of all these Asuri gunas that were enumerated in the 4th verse, Bhagwan says that there are 3 of these Asuri gunas which are most dangerous. They will push you to Naraka. He says, Naraka means what? They will push you towards, very, very lowly lives. If these 3 Asuri gunas are there in your mind, then in your next birth you may have you may not have a good birth to pursue this knowledge. You may be born in very, very difficult circumstances. So what does he say? In the 21st verse, he says, there are 3 doors to hell. Trividham narakasya dvaram. There are 3 doors to hell. Okay, hell means what? Hell means you fall down. Spiritual fall is called as hell. There's nothing like going to hell, going to heaven. The more Daivi Sampatti you have, your mind is calm, quiet, happy, compassionate. That is Svarga. The more of Asuri gunas that you have, your mind is disturbed, your mind is negative. Okay, that itself is called as the Naraka. Why? You make yourself also miserable, you make other people's lives also miserable. Who wants to stay with a person who has Asuri Sampatti? Tell me. Would you like to have a friend who's always getting angry with you? Would you like to have a friend who's always showing off? Isn't it? Huh? Correct? He'll stop showing off. Do you want to have a friend who's always boasting about himself? No. Correct? Do you have a friend who's always gossiping about other people, other friends of yours? No. Correct? So, when you have this Asuri gunas, what happens? You yourself become miserable and you make all the other people with you also miserable. Nobody wants to be friends with you. Nobody wants to come anywhere near you. You become isolated. That is the hell. Nobody wants to help you. When you need help, ayoyo, bedappa, dushtarinda dura iru. Let us keep away from this dushta. He is a dushta, ayoyo. I don't want to go anywhere near him. So that means you are isolated from people. Nobody wants to come near you. That is the hell. Okay, so he says there are 3 doors to hell, and the 3 worst kind of Asuri Sampat or Asuri Gunas here he is talking about. What is that? Kamaha, Krodhaha, Lobhaha. In the 21st verse. What is Kama? All the time desiring, I want this, I want this, I want this. Anything that is there, you want to have. New phone has come, I want to have it. New dress is advertised somewhere, I want to have it. New cycle is advertised somewhere, I want to have it. All the time running after things, I want to accumulate. Kama. It is one of the doors to hell. Why? Because desire can never be satiated. Desire can never be fulfilled. You fulfill one desire, there is one more which is cropping up. You can never say, this is my last desire. This desire you have accomplished somehow, then there are other desires waiting. Therefore, it is endless pursuit. Therefore, kamaha, a binding desire, all the time running after things, all the time wanting things, all the time wanting you accumulate everything. I want to have everything that somebody else doesn't have. You don't have it, I should have it. I have it, see, show it off to others. See, I got it, I have it. This kama or desire to always go after things, to always acquire things is one very, very bad and a serious Asuri guna, which will push me to the hell, one of the doors to hell. He says, Narakasya idam dwaram trividham. Krishna says, 3 doors are there to hell. Hell here means what? Unhappiness. All the time we are unhappy. We are making people around us unhappy. The whole environment around us becomes unhappy. Nobody wants to have anything to do with us. Nobody is happy with us. They're all wishing, Appa, this fellow, let him go away. This is Naraka. Okay, so he says Kama is one door to Naraka. Then he says Krodhaha, anger, inappropriate anger, in inappropriate situations where anger is not needed. Okay, how much anger is needed, when it is needed, where it is needed. I have no discrimination. Once the anger comes, I don't care who is there in front of me, what is there, I don't care. I show my anger through my words also, through my actions also. I may go to the extent of hitting somebody, injuring somebody also, injuring with words and then injuring with physically also injuring, causing abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse. This is nothing but the effect of anger. And therefore, anger is the second door to hell. Third one is what? Lobha, greed. Greed means what? However much you have, you are not satisfied. You want more, you want more. You have 100 rupees, I want 1000 rupees. If you have 1000 rupees, you want 1 lakh rupees. You are seeing in today's world how people are greedy after so many things. You have seen, no, you see in the newspapers, you are reading in that, you're seeing the TVs, how people are after more and more and more greed. So much of greed that they're willing to do anything. Okay, so when the desire or kama becomes uncontrollable, when anger or krodha becomes uncontrollable, when lobha or greed becomes uncontrollable, these are the 3 asuri gunas which can completely destroy a person. That is why they are called as the 3 doors to hell. What's the meaning of hell? Hell is a situation where you are no longer a human being, you are destroyed. Your mind is destroyed. Your capacity to think is destroyed. Okay, and what were we trying to learn in Bhagavad Gita? We are trying to learn to get rid of our confusion. We are learning in Bhagavad Gita to get rid of our ajnanam. Correct? We are trying in Bhagavad Gita to get rid of all our fear. But all these 3, what do? All these 3, kamaha, krodaha, lobhaha. These 3 asuri gunas are the worst of all the asuri gunas. Because what do? They completely destroy the discrimination of the intellect. They destroy the thinking capacity of the individual. And in such a person, no knowledge is possible. No good things are possible. Supposing there is a field with full of rocks, full of weeds, and if you plant a seed there, will that seed sprout and grow? It won't grow. Correct? So we have to clear the ground of rocks, small stones. We have to remove all the unwanted weeds. Then only the seed can be sown. Similarly, the most unwanted Asuri Sampat or the Asuri Gunas, which we should be capable of recognizing and trying to get rid of, are Kama, Krodha, Lobha. Kama means an insatiable, uncontrolled desire. Krodha means inappropriate anger. Lobha means never ever enough greed. I never say enough. I am greedy, want more and more and more and more. Like in fire, children, if you put oil or ghee, will the fires anytime say enough? The more you put oil in the fire, the more the oil will consume it. Like that, greed is also like that. However much you have, whatever you have, you are not satisfied. That is what is called as lobha. So, what he says is that when these three very, very deadly Asuri gunas are there, then these destroy you as a human being, and no knowledge is possible. This is the summary of the 16th chapter, where the Daivi Sampatti, or that those gunas which strengthen your character, which strengthen your mind to imbibe this knowledge, are discussed. At the same time, Lord Krishna is giving all the negative gunas, the Rakshasi gunas, which completely destroy you as a human being, and you are not able to really assimilate anything. So this chapter is called Daiva Asura Sampatti Yoga, or Daiva Asura Sampat Vibhaga Yoga. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.